Hello and welcome to the GBTA broadcast studio. I'm Suzanne Neufang, CEO of GBTA, coming to you from Toronto, Canada for our GBTA Canada 2022 conference. And joining me today is Billy McDonough, President of FCM Travel. Welcome, Billy. There's a lot going on in our industry.
Absolutely.
Good to be back. Corporate travel is rebounding. What are some of the things that you see at FCM?
I think the road ahead for us has never been more positive. I think we've seen as a surge in the return to travel, which has been great after the last 2 years. I think we've managed to really take advantage of some of the downtime that we experienced previously to look at how we can improve programs and make them simpler. Because I think in corporate travel, the complexity is always going to exist, but it shouldn't be complicated. So we focus a lot on making sure that some of the initiatives that we put in place would make travel easier for the travelers as well as the travel managers running complex programs. So that's where we've also focused on acquiring and retaining our customers. So we've had several large wins. So I think that's really set us up for a pretty bright future. And again, continuing investment in technology and platforms has really helped set us up for the road ahead, whatever this new normal will be.
Certainly all of that you described, I'm not sure that 10 years ago technology would have been in the first three things that you talked about.
Absolutely.
Changing, right?
And I think one of the most important lessons that we did learn through the last 2 years was the importance of the human connection with technology. So, the support of a strategic team behind you and your travelers is really what's essential. The technology tools are there to assist and make things a little bit better, but you really do need that support of that human connection behind your program. And I think our acquisition of Shep was a pretty good example of something that can give you contextual updates in real time. And in the beginning, it was more about health and safety for people who were traveling, especially during times of when it was very restrictive. But now we've seen it evolve into being able to help people make possibly greener choices or to softly remind people about policies. So, even when a tool's set for one purpose, we've found that by, again, listening to our customers and getting feedback, we could apply those things to help current and hopefully future problems to make it easier.
So I heard you say policy compliance. Are there other challenges that travel buyers still face?
I think the policies were kind of frozen in a moment in time back in the beginning of this whole thing. And I think we're seeing now that people are re-examining some of the decisions that were made in the past to make sure that they're relevant for today. So certainly our account managers are working with our customers to analyze and say, well, what makes sense for today's travel? What makes sense to, kind of re-engage your travelers, because some people haven't been out on the road for several years. So just to take the time to reflect and refine some of the policy documents.
Are there other challenges that the travel buyers face then today?
I think,
is that the main one?
I think negotiating with suppliers is tricky because travel patterns have changed.
What number do they
Volume has changed considerably, and I think we've noticed that a lot of new markets have opened up when we were in a situation of people teleworking. There were movements to different cities, so we're seeing different city pairs appear in people's programs and really focusing on those opportunities, which makes it easier than negotiating when you don't have a lot of volume that you had historically. So really taking today's landscape and maximizing those opportunities.
Along with that, what other learnings, what have been your FCM's major learnings coming out of the pandemic?
The number one is the value of the human connection in all of this. I think there's always the excitement associated with tools and various platforms, and they're fantastic because it makes the transaction or the traveler's experience easier, but it really does all fall back on having a strong group of people to support those tools and those travelers, and especially when people are just starting to come out of hibernation with getting back on the road again, there's a lot of questions that people have, and it's generally not related to the transaction. So I think listening to your travelers, listening to your customers, and using that feedback as the catalyst for change really helps us to try to find new ways to solve problems. And I think that really runs through our entire business, and looking at new ways to make things a little bit different or a little bit better, and that will continue to evolve. And I think ultimately that'll prevent disruption in the future as well. I think maintaining that balance between, the human side of things, the tools that are available presently or in the future, and just listening to your customers.
Yeah, listening, feedback,
that's the
managing
recipe.
change, balance, all of those sound like the magic recipe.
Yeah, and
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
I appreciate it.
And thank you from all of us at GBTA for joining us here today.